Aloha, I am Christy Chadwick. I have a master's in deaf education from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis. During my program, I learned alongside audiologists to learn more about the science of the ear and also how devices work, such as hearing aids and cochlear implants. With this, I learned a method called listening and spoken language, or LSL. Now living in Hawaii, I run an organization called Hawaii Hears. My mission is to deliver services to families who have children diagnosed with hearing loss, who use hearing aids and cochlear implants. I also provide education and awareness to professionals in early intervention around language development for children who are deaf or hard of hearing. The main focus of Hawaii Hears is to provide support to families, to empower them and help them get what they need to be able to communicate with their child. In this series, we hear from audiologists, teachers of the deaf, parents of children who are deaf, and individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. If you want to learn more about my services or what Hawaii Hears offers, please visit hawaiihears.com. You can also donate by clicking the donate button at hawaiihears.com. Mahalo. This is a very special interview with Krista Ray. Krista has one cochlear implant and one hearing aid. And while she was in grad school, learning to be a teacher of the deaf, she received her cochlear implant. Her whole life, she grew up using bilateral hearing aids. She has a profound hearing loss, and she also has other special ways to get around as a person who is deaf when she doesn't have her devices on. So stay tuned and look at this whole interview to get to know Krista and her story and how she utilizes her devices to listen and talk and work throughout the day working with children who are deaf or hard of hearing. All right. Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to talk a little bit about your experience because you have a cochlear implant and you are a teacher of the deaf.
Yes.
Sweet. Awesome. So you were recently implanted with your cochlear implant, correct?
Yes, 3 years ago.
3 years ago. And how's it been for you?
It's been really good. The beginning was hard, but like as time gone on, it's gotten better and better. And so, I think I think there's just conception that people like they only learn with their cochlear implant for the first year, but I can still say like at 3 years out, I'm still learning how to listen, and it's still getting better all the time. So I've been very happy with it, and I'm glad that I did it. So
cool. Okay. Yeah, I remember talking to you a little bit before you were implanted when we were at school together.
Yes.
And you were in your first year of the grad program. I was in my second year, and you were nervous about getting it because of the change of sound from going from that acoustic sound of a hearing aid to that more electronic-y sound of a cochlear implant. Yeah. So what brought you to that decision of getting the implant, and then how was it initially getting it turned on?
So I kind of got implanted unexpectedly. In May of my first year, I had finished my last final, and that day I had a sudden hearing loss, and we didn't know that why at that time, but it just happened. I wasn't a candidate for using steroids to get hearing back. And so, I always say like it was really hard then, but looking back, it was kind of a blessing because I was at, one of the top medical centers in the country with a great surgeon. So it like everything fell into place and it worked out. But, we found out later that summer that I have some anatomy issues, which explains why I had sudden hearing loss. And so, it was kind of like, this is not a bad thing, but it was kind of my only option then because I was really struggling with the hearing aid. Had some panic because I was trying to do grad school and student teaching and, just all the expectation of that while hearing basically 50% of what I was before, and having, I just need to hear everybody to function and all that. So, went through the insurance process. That was an adventure in itself, and took 4 denials for it to finally get approved. And I was activated that September 8th, actually. That's what my hearing birthday, I call it. Oh. And when they first turned it on, yeah, I want you guys to take my experience with a grain of salt, because my experience is going to be different from your experience, because each person is different. Medicine is not a cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. So before I say what I'm going to say, I want to make sure that's very clear. But so when they turned it on for me, it just sounded beeps. So whenever you talked, it was beep, 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 and it was all the same pitch. Mm-hmm. And then, then I was training to be a teacher of the deaf. And so I knew just in my training that the expectation was you need to wear all waking hours for it to improve. And even if you do nothing else, just do that. And so I told myself, okay, I'm just going to wear all waking hours. And then, once I get used to it, then I'll start doing training. And so sure enough, I wear all working hours. I wear it to class. I wear it to, when I visited kids and whatnot. And over time, so I would say about a month in, it was still beep, 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 but it sounded like wind chimes. So you can do like low to high frequencies. And then by the 3-month mark, so that December, I started getting, I could start doing ling sounds and distinguished speech. And I would say, now 3 years out, I do pretty well with just my implant, but I have a hard time with low frequencies and male voices. I'm not around a lot of men. I'm around a lot of women. Mm-hmm. And, but I always say having a hearing aid and a cochlear implant is perfect, because the brain is so plastic that my brain has learned over time just to put them together. So I always tell people if this is the way it is for the rest of my life, it's perfect. It's perfect in noise, it's perfect in quiet, it's just perfect.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's good. So you like the difference of having that acoustic and then also the electronic-y sound. Your brain recognizes it and transfers it into what it's supposed to sound like for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what did you do?
It's really cool. Really cool.
Good.
So, yeah.
What did you do for auditory training in that time? Was it the 3 months in between, that September to December range, that you had to do a lot of distinct auditory training for yourself?
So for the first month, I did nothing. Mm-hmm. I just wore it. And then once it started doing the wind chime things, I thought, okay, now I'm ready to add in some things. So so I was living with a roommate at the time, and we would just do ling sounds every day. And, I would say, honestly, I probably didn't put in as much as some people, because, I had homework and all these other things. But I just told myself, I'm going to do the ling sounds and then one activity. Mm-hmm. So then I didn't know about any apps or anything like that. So the first month 2 and month 3, we would do the ling sounds and then a closed set activity. So she was for example, she would give me a topic. So she would say, okay, I'm going to say 1 month out of the year. You're 12 months in a year, so that means there's only 12 options. Mm-hmm. So she would say a month, and I have to listen to it and say what she said. Mm-hmm. And so we would do closed sets like that, small closed sets. So, okay, now I'm going to do numbers 1 to 10. Or I'm going to do the days of the week. Or I'm going to do, the list goes on and on. So I did that, and then, and then in addition to that, I read books on tape while reading the book, so that way I could hear it and read it. And all of this I did with just my implant. I never really did auditory training together, because it just picked up so naturally together. But with just the implant, and so I did books on tape and that kind of thing. And then kind of, I have a metal cochlear implant, so just kind of, other companies have their resources, but since I have a metal implant, I've used some of their resources to do some training and things like that as well. And now I have a Angel Sounds app on my phone, which I love because it's like I can connect it. So, and I have a lot of times in my day where I just have like 5 or 10 minutes here or there. So I'll just like plug it in and I'll just sit in the car and, do an activity or something. I don't have a lot of chunks of time now, but I have like little bits of time. And so that's what I've been doing now, but I don't do as much now than I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Because essentially when you first get the implant is the time to really do the training, and now you can do bits of training and listening as you need to. Yeah. What's the Angel app do?
It's like so it gives you like different topics. So I wouldn't say it's some closed set sync, but it has, let me see if I can find it. I can't find it. So it has some speech. So in the audiology deaf ed world, there's like minimal pairs, maximum pairs. So minimal pairs are when there's like they say a word, and in this app you get 4 choices to choose from. So it says a word, and minimal pairs is like one sound differs. Mm-hmm. So it could be cat, mat, fat, or something, like 4 things, and it only differed by one sound. And then you have to click the one it is. So it does that for minimal and maximum pairs. And then, beginning of the word, middle words, and ends of the words. And then it also has like some closed set topics. So like numbers, days of the week, and those kinds of things as well. It has environmental sound, which I think is really good. I think for some people who get an implant just through counseling, the expectation they have with their implant is just to hear environmental sound. So that is definitely an option on there as well. So I would say it's a good app. I would say like it's a good app for like the beginning levels of listening. I would say like if you're hearing everything great, you need to work more on like comprehension levels. If you think of just auditory discrimination type of thing, or the auditory hierarchy, sorry. Yeah. So I would say it's good for like identification of words and maybe not detection, but discrimination. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's good that you have the app for when you need it and can listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing that you have to support you is a dog, right?
Yes.
What's your
She's
dog?
She's under here. Her name is Taylor. She's sleeping right under my desk right now.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And what does Taylor do for you in terms of as an aid?
So Taylor is a hearing dog. She's from a nonprofit organization out in the Midwest. And I feel very fortunate to get her. I got her 2 years ago, but she's 4 years old now. And what she does for me, I always tell people like I do very well during the day, with my devices. Is at night I can't hear anything. So even with my hearing aid, I still have a severe to profound hearing loss. So essentially, when I take my implant off and my hearing aid off, I'm still deaf. I still can't hear. And so what she does is she is that person at night that wakes me up if someone's at the door, if the fire alarm goes off. I have an alarm system in my home now. So like if that goes off, she'll wake me up to that. She's my alarm clock in the morning. We get up early every morning and go for a walk. And so she's just that person for that. And then also I use it more like at home. If like I've burned a lot of food, so like she's that person that will let me know that my food's ready by the alarm, the timers. So it's just really alerting to those sounds just in the day-to-day life and everything. So
Cool.
yeah.
Does she go to work with you?
She does go to work. She does go to work with me now. I kind of I don't take her to every school I go to, but I take her to some. It just depends on like the age of the kids and what's going on and in the classroom. But I would say that she probably comes with me about 75% of the day. So yeah.
Fun. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you are an itinerant teacher, and tell us a little bit about what that means and what age group you see and what your day looks like.
So I work at it's a nonprofit school in Northern California, and we contract with different districts to provide services for the children who are deaf and hard of hearing in their districts. I think one thing is there's a shortage of teachers of the deaf right now, and we're seeing that across the country. I don't think that's just a California thing. I think that's a nationwide thing. And so a lot of these school districts are contracting with us to provide services. So I have, we contract with a number of districts. I have one big district and then a couple little districts I do. And, essentially what it is I go check on kids. I do a lot of training with HAT systems, which is hearing assisted technology. So I have some students that have personal HAT systems. So that's like where they have receivers on their hearing aid or the implant, and then the teacher wears a mic. And I have some students who have, like, we call them sound field HAT systems. So they have a HAT system that amplifies for everybody in the room, not just them. So I do a lot of training on that. I do a lot of self-advocacy activities. We call them communication repair activities. So that is if you didn't hear something, like advocating for yourself and say, I didn't hear you, can you say that again? I do with my high school students, I do a lot of coaching for like college. Because now they're on an IEP, but in college they have to seek out that, like they're not just automatically put on an IEP. So I'm able to share my personal experience with that since I went to college and grad school for that. So I do a lot of things like that, educating them about what their hearing loss is and the impact of that as well. So I think right now I only have like 3 preschool and then a handful of elementary, and then most of my students are like 5th grade to 12th grade. Oh. So yeah, a nice wide range.
Mix. Yes, yeah, all the whole spectrum.
Yeah,
yeah, except for early intervention, I guess. But
no,
that's okay. Yeah, you have that whole itinerant, that area where you get to go into the schools, talk to the teachers, help educate the families, or the teachers, and they can educate and work with the families as well. Yeah. Do you go in and talk to the classrooms too and help kind of educate the whole classroom about what's going on with the one student who wears devices?
It depends. So I have students who are very shy and don't want anyone to know and just don't want it to be a big deal, and they just want to fit in. So for those students, I don't really do anything for them. Out of my whole caseload, I've had 2 this year that wanted me to talk about it with their class. And both of those students were, they were we call it early elementary kids. So they were both in the early elementary years. So I think I think I see that more younger than older. And I think it's also harder with switching classes as they're older and stuff. So I think that's definitely more beneficial just in education, but there's not a lot of opportunity to do that currently in this area. So
yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your story growing up deaf and when you were diagnosed and where you went after that?
Yes. So I was born with a severe profound hearing loss in both ears. Back in the day, though, there was no newborn hearing screening. So my hearing loss wasn't diagnosed until I was 18 months old. And back then, they didn't implant children unless they were profoundly deaf. Like, even if you had a severe profound hearing loss, you did not get implanted. So I had 2 hearing aids, and I did really well with hearing aids for a really long time. I went to a option school, which is like a program that helps deaf or hard of hearing kids how to listen and talk. There's like a handful of them all over the country. So the one that I went to was in Northern California because that's where I grew up. And so I did that. I did really well, mainstreamed at kindergarten. I feel like I was very lucky in that I had parents who really advocated for me and really made sure that all my needs were met and that I did well. And, you know, and I know like not every child has that. And so I feel like that's part of my passion and my job now is to give those kids the services that they deserve and like that kind of thing now because I had that, but now kids have that. And you know, I'll just share with you guys one thing that's really exciting going on in California right now is we're trying to get a bill passed for all to make hearing aids free for all kids in California. So that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, it was definitely, you know, I definitely had harder times. Middle school was really hard just with bullying and all, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But I think, you know, you persevere and everything works out and in the end. So it all worked out.
Sure. Yeah. So there was with like fitting in a way with the other kids, and because you went from an option school and then you were mainstreamed. What were you mainstreamed?
I mainstreamed at kindergarten because the option school I went to only went to kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, we go past kindergarten now, but you know, but even like in kindergarten, I still got, you know, a lot of speech. I did speech all the way up till high school. So I think there's a misconception that, oh, you don't need speech in high school. I did it all the way up to high school because with what I had is I had 2 hearing aids then. I didn't get implanted until I was 23. And with my hearing aids, I could never hear that sound. Yeah. So, and S is a really important marker in the plural, in the English language with plurals and possessives. So I will always drop that at the end of words. So, I mean, now that I've got my implant, my speech has improved.
Yeah.
Ironically. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it's just been really interesting just to see.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. The more access to sound you've gotten now, you're able to hear the S sound, and now you're pronouncing it more often. Yeah. Do you hear yourself not saying it? And then you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like I'll say something and then like I'll whoever I'm talking to, I'm like, I'm sorry, let me say that again. I'll say it again and continue on.
Good for you. That's self-advocacy, right?
Yeah.
You learn how to let people know what's happening, and that you'll just change it a little, and then it's there, and you got it.
Good.
Awesome. Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that we're doing a similar bill in Hawaii as well. We tried for it last session to get the hearing aids passed to be able to be covered by insurances, all different insurance, but it didn't pass. So we're trying for the next session. And I saw that bill in Hawaii or in California. So we'll try and model off of it and keep in touch about how that goes.
Yeah. So I think we're at the last step now, so we'll see if that goes through.
Cool.
So
yeah, that's great. Good.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Thank you for your advocacy and helping with the kids where you are, and being able to share your story, I think, is a powerful tool that you have in general. So thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So.
Good. All right. Thanks, Krista.
Bye. Talk to you later.